Hi friends, thanks for joining me today. I am making a bracelet. Let's get started. This is one of those instances where I should have been filming from the beginning and didn't think about it until now. Sorry. Many years ago, I bought a cuff bracelet that had coyote phalanges as buttons. It was very cool. I found it at the local Renaissance festival, and I think that year the vendor was temporary. And the way this particular festival works is that you get like a weekend or two to see how well you perform, and then you might be offered a permanent location inside the fair. They are permanent now. The shop is called Dry Bones. I do not know the name of the person who owns it. But what I bought was a leather cuff. It had 3 coyote toe bones. That is the alarm that usually tells me to go home from work. I am off work today, so I could have turned that alarm off. In any event, 3 coyote phalanges were the buttons on this leather cuff. I loved it. I wore it all the time. I have since lost it. It has been missing for years, and the artist doesn't make them anymore. When I was there last year, she did have one very small cuff. It was a 2-button cuff, smaller than it would need to be for my wrist. I thought about buying it anyway and just using the buttons to make one my size, but I did not. I ended up buying this coyote phalange bracelet. I actually have 2 of these of this style because I thought maybe I could cut one open and just use the bones and drill holes, because the holes in, let's take it off. The holes in this bracelet, of course, are going straight through the bone like this, and the holes for bones as buttons are going through the other way. And I wasn't too sure how strong they might be if I were to take this bracelet apart, not this one, but the other one that I have, and use those for buttons. Well, as it turns out, we were at the Virginia Renaissance Fair yesterday, and I came across a shop called Bones and Things. I'm not actually sure if that was their shop name or if that was just the banner that they had on top. Usually that's the shop name, but maybe they were advertising what they sell. I don't actually know. And at the counter was a little cup full of tiny coyote phalanges. It also just so happens that the person who owned that booth used to work for the person who owns Dry Bones, and she was able to give me some tips about drilling through my bones to remake the cuff. When I told her what I wanted to do, she said she knew the pieces well and also knew that the owner didn't make them anymore, and she sold me some teeny tiny little bones. Here they are, teeny tiny little bones, knowing that I was going to try to drill through them and remake this bracelet that I had so many years ago. Of course, now that I'm in the process of remaking the bracelet, I'm probably going to find it, which is fine because then I'll have several, right? So I did manage, I used the proprietor of Bones and Things recommended a Dremel with a drill bit on it. Well, as I said in the last video, or was it 2 videos ago, I could not find my Dremel. It was the last video, wasn't it? I can't find my Dremel. I have no idea where it is. Probably could have used a regular electric drill, but I have a hand drill that I use for smaller projects, usually earrings and things like that. I'm getting a phone call, charity call it says. It's probably the Red Cross asking me to donate blood. So here I have holes. Oh, you can see them really good through the camera. I have little holes drilled through these 3 phalanges. I can't hold this one. There we go. So I have drilled my little buttons. I'm currently taking waxed linen thread and I'm braiding it together to make the ties for the buttons. So I've got quite a bit to go and I'm hoping that I can get enough to make, 3 lengths of cord for each of the buttons. So what I remember about my bracelet is that it was really soft leather, probably doe. Doe skin is really soft. Having bought several pieces of clothing made by Potomac Leather Company out of doe skin, well, Potomac Leather Company frequently sells bags of their offcuts. Is it cabbage if it's leather? It's cabbage when it's fabric. In any event, I have a bag full of dyed random bits of leather, and I thought this bracelet would be really fun if it were green. The one that I had was definitely black. I definitely remember that, but I know that I have some really lovely doe skin green pieces from Potomac Leather Company. So I'm going to cut my bracelet out of that. And I pulled out this piece of green, which is nice. And then I pulled out this piece of green, and I don't know if this camera is going to bring it up. This one is slightly brighter, and I like that a little bit better. So here I have cut longer than I need a length of that leather. So this leather has been living in a bag, and it's been all crumpled up. So it's got these fun kind of wrinkles in them. And some of the edge, like the cut part of the edges that I didn't cut, are kind of frayed and natural looking. Like this piece is a little, I don't know, wavy and weird. Doe leather is so soft though. It's so nice. So this is way longer than I need to go around my wrist. I was also thinking of making 2 sizes, like the same cuff, but that I can wear it in 2 sizes. So I can wear it just on my wrist for every day. And when I go to the Renaissance Festival, I like to cover up my watch. So if I could have a second buttonhole, a second trio of buttonholes that would fit around my watch, then I could wear it in both instances. I'm not sure how well that's going to work, but I have enough leather to play with that to see if I can make that happen. As I recall, there was really no particular finishing on my cuff bracelet except little slits for buttonholes. I mean, it's not like it's going to fray. It is tanned hide, so I don't have to worry about it unraveling or anything like that. But that's what we're doing. So I am going to finish braiding this. I'm getting there. I'm not holding it down with anything. When I started, I kind of held it in my teeth, but it's waxed so it stays together really well. And I know I can also twist it to make it a little thinner if I need to. I just thought the braid would look cute. Nobody's going to notice it but me, but I think it would look good. So I'm going to finish braiding. I'm going to cut this into 3 lengths, and then we will come back and thread our bone buttons. So the 3 layers of cord is pretty tough to get through, but it's working. I found that on each of the little cords that I made, well, that's not working. There was one side that kind of went through fairly easily, and one side that just wanted to fight the whole way. So if I go in through the back and come around the top and go in and pull that through, that seems to work. We want to make sure those ends are even, and then we've got this cute little braid sitting on top of the bone. So if you've never worked with waxed linen before, it tends to be pretty sticky. So I probably don't need to tie knots here, but I am. And that also gives it some space for the leather to go through. I've just been doing a square knot. It might be a granny. I'm not paying that close attention to it. I was too lazy to get out my leather working tools, so I got out my book binding tools, which is a nice sharp awl. And the side that I've determined is the bottom, where the buttons go, is this side. So let's see if I can kind of fold it in half. It's not going to crease the way that fabric does, but we want to put a button here. And I'll give it a spot. Sorry, that's loud. Where's the other one? Pierce little holes like this. Now, it's very possible that this tiny middle part will pull away, which we don't want to happen. I did have a determination on what I wanted to be the middle. This one. When I say pull away, what I mean is break, which means we're not going to tie it super tight. We just need to get the ends of the cord through it. And then we tie it on the inside. There we go. So there's one little button. I just need to give this one a tie. And what I'll probably do is come back with like super glue to make sure that this holds. Over time, the wax will melt together even more. And then those ends I will cut free after I glue it. So there's one, and then kind of there, kind of there. Just making these holes a little bit bigger with my awl. Not bigger enough. There might be a better way to do this, but I don't know it. Kind of in a rush here, and I'm trying not to be, but today is my husband's birthday, and my daughter and I were going to ice some cupcakes, but he is going to pick her up from school today, which means she won't be here to ice the cupcakes with me. She said she didn't mind if I did the whole thing without her, so I will, so that they'll be done by the time my husband gets home today. I don't know if the camera is picking up the flashing light on my water bottle. If it is, that little device is called an ULA, ULLA, and it flashes every 30 to 45 minutes if I don't drink. So it's been a while since I've picked it up, and it will flash until I drink something. So I'm not worried about being super precise on how well they're lined up. I think it'll be okay. Pause for drinking. There we go. Pull that bit through, make sure it's facing the correct direction. So I definitely remember on my original bracelet, the bones were all going the length of the cuff. I think as long as nothing gets under it and pulls, then the leather will hold. All right, I'm going to come back in and put drops of glue on all of these knots and then tie those, cut those down. But not right now, because the next step is figuring out where the slits go for the buttonholes. So if I wear it on the watch hand, I hope I'm still in the frame, I actually can't see. Almost completely through. 1, 2, 3. So then I could shorten it over here. Maybe I won't need to go any tighter than that. Let's see. Maybe on the other wrist that will be comfortable enough. So I can kind of see each of the finger buttons through here. So I'm going to make a mark. I'm going to make a mark there. And there, and there. Now I got to try to see my marks. There was one, there was one, and there was one. That was kind of in the middle. Trying it again. It's a little weird this way. That's the middle. So the slit for the button needs to be this over here. I'm going to try to make a mark with my fingernail. Okay, that's the end of each of the bones. And then we're going to come in with my scissors that are not as sharp as I was expecting them to be. That are still not as sharp as I was expecting them to be. Oh, that's better. Okay. I thought, let's get really sharp scissors, and these are not that. That kind of feels like it's working. And then it would go through, the bone comes through here. Needs to be what, just like a tad longer? Just a tad longer, okay. So if you noticed, I wasn't actually cutting with the scissors, I was just kind of slicing. Oh yeah, there we go. And there's one. So that worked. And then there's the other hole. We're going to kind of try to fold, get it maybe there. So the artist, when I first bought my cuff, had one that she said she had had for years, and she wore hers all the time, like in the shower, and the soft leather became very hard. That's great if that's what you like. That is not what I wanted to do with mine, which is probably how it got misplaced. She never took hers off, and I took mine off frequently, and it got put away somewhere, and I have no idea where. Okay, I actually need to go kind of right next to the little hole that I made. Which is there. A little bit more in the other direction. There we go. All right. Now we're going to put it around the watch hand again. Let go. Thank you. I'm pretty sure that this cuff is wider than the one that I had, and I might trim it down. One of the benefits of making your own is that you can do those things. This also feels quite a bit looser than what I wanted it to be. Come on, bone. But I don't mind that either. I can do it. I promise I can do it. This side. A little tight. That's okay. All right, that's pretty cool, and I can set it up on the watch. So to make it smaller, I would need like a line of buttonholes back here. And we're gonna cut this part off, maybe slightly round it. Oh look, it's definitely too big because it can go right over my wrist. All right, I think I'm going to call this done, but I might play with the sizing of that more. Let's just give this part a trim. Does it function as a bracelet currently? Yes. Yes, it does. We're gonna go kind of like that, and it's okay if it's a little wobbly. Maybe ideally it's a little wobbly. All right. There we go. So I made it. Oh yeah. So on the other wrist, here's the line of bones where my fingers are here. And that's definitely too far away. All right, I think making the slightly adjustable one is just more trouble than it's worth. And I might just cut these slits and call that done. And there I have it. So now that it's done, close enough to done, it's definitely super loose. I am going to take in an inch or two off of this so that it fits a little bit more snugly. It doesn't have to be super snug, just a little bit more, but that's it. Yay! It wasn't as hard as I was expecting it to be. I think just getting the size kind of right is a little awkward. But I'm glad I found the bones. I'm glad I was able to do it. It wasn't super hard drilling holes through them. And now I have a cool cuff again. So thanks so much for joining me today. I'm grateful for you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.